Good evening, everyone. My name is Edgar Ramos. I'm the chair of the Traffic Transportation Committee. This is Bronx Community Board's Traffic and Transportation meeting. The agenda is as follows. We have a presentation. We got the meeting guidelines, which I'm reading now. Second on the agenda is going to be introductions and attendance, followed by a review of previous minutes. The new business, we have Deputy Inspector Nicola Ventry, the commanding officer from the Traffic Operations Division of NYPD's Transportation Bureau, and they have a Vision Zero presentation. We have MTA updates, DOT updates. TD11 is here to present New York City Taxi and Limousine Commission proposed rules. Then we'll be preparing for our next meeting, which will be April 7th, and a discussion on our next agenda. So I found a better way of doing this so I don't get lost like I did last time. So on September 2nd, 2021, Governor Kathy Hochul signed into law Chapter 417 of the laws of 2021, which authorizes the community board to run this meeting remotely, and minutes will be taken for record keeping. The minutes will appear on our website within days and can be requested from the Bronx CB7 staff at any time. If you're calling into the meeting to be on the conference, the controls while joining from landline or a cell call will be as follows. To hear all available commands, you can enter star on your phone, asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk 6 will mute or unmute yourself. Asterisk 9 will virtually raise your hand. How this meeting will run will be as follows. The code of conduct for meetings. Penalties in section. That doesn't look right. Right. Bronx Community Board 7 has the right to remove and or ask a member of the public to leave a meeting or block participation of anyone who encourages in inappropriate conduct, including that not limited to obscene or offensive images or language, personal attacks, threats, or any other behavior that reasonably impedes the orderly administration of the meeting. Repeated offenses will be reviewed by the board's executive committee and any other assigned committee for a ban. The amount of time to be objectively determined by the above committee and the participant of the event of the repeated disruptive behavior. If in-person outbursts or attacks continue, this will be considered disturbing the peace and the authorities will be summoned. Everyone besides the speaker or presenter will stay muted throughout the meeting. After each presentation is over, I will inquire if the committee members have any questions. Committee members will signify by pressing the raised hand button on the screen or putting the question in the chat when I open the floor. Members of the public who have joined through the online chat will be able to ask questions and make brief statements on the item after each presentation and after the committee has had an opportunity to ask clarifying questions by pressing the raise hand button on your screen on Zoom, or request to speak through the chat when I open the floor. Only those recognized by the chair of the committee will be allowed to speak during the allotted time. We will stay on topic with the agenda items. Any other items will be acknowledged by the chair in new business or addressed in the next meeting, granted that there is time and the committee agrees on the topic. Following the questions, discussions, and public comment portion, the committee will begin their discussion on each presentation or agenda item and will conclude with a discussion to vote on a recommendation. When the agenda is finished, the meeting will be adjourned. If there are any questions related to the meeting, software, or other process, please use the chat function or raise hand function now, or contact the district manager. All right. So let's get started with the attendance, please. I, Edgar Ramos, am here, present. Jaira Arias.
Jahira Arias present.
Eric Asensio,
Eric Asensio present.
Lowell Green,
Lowell Green is present.
Andrew Leosa,
Andrew Leosa present.
and Daisy Perry.
Daisy Perry present.
All right, thank you. We have a full committee.
Question, isn't someone named Samantha a member of our committee?
Not that I know of. I haven't received the update. We have a couple of we have a couple of CB7 members that are on the meeting. There's a couple of situations that they're trying to get addressed. So there are more CB7 members on tonight. But as far as I know, I haven't gotten an update to the membership for the.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. Did everyone get a chance to read February's minutes?
Yes.
Yes,
So we're gonna prepare a vote for the February minutes. And so that they can be put on record. Edgar Ramos, I vote yes. Jahira Arias. Jahira Arias.
Sorry, Jahira Arias votes yes.
Okay. Jahira, you on the bus still?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Eric Asensio.
Eric Asensio votes yes.
Okay. Lowell Green.
yes,
Andrew Leosa.
Andrew Leosa approves the motion.
Thank you, Andrew. And Daisy Perry.
Yes, Daisy Perry votes yes.
All right, thank you very much. Therefore, the February meeting minutes are accepted as typed. So they'll be presented to the community board for putting up onto the website. Thank you, everyone. I still don't see Deputy Inspector on the.
Inspector of Entry is here.
I'm sorry?
Deputy Inspector of Entry, I'm here.
Yes.
From
Okay.
Transportation Bureau.
Yep. Okay, you're the first item on the agenda.
Okay.
In reference to the Vision Zero initiative. So,
Ye-
go ahead.
Yeah, so first I want to say thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. A little about myself, I'm Deputy Inspector Nick Ventry. I have 22 years of law enforcement experience. Just a little of my career. I was executive officer in the 114 precinct, 115 precinct, and the Roosevelt Air Force. So the commanding officer of the 110 precinct. I've been with the Transportation Bureau for 2 years now. So I'm the CEO of the Transportation Operation District. Under me, we deploy a citywide task force. And what we do. So to give you an overview of how we deploy our units, we conduct a citywide analysis every week, and we deploy our units where the precincts need extra help, extra deployment in regards to the pedestrians being struck or vehicle collisions. So as you see, we've been in the Bronx since February 21st. We'll be there till March 6th, deploying Vision Zero. So what is Vision Zero? Vision Zero is it's an education part and an enforcement part. So once we determine a borough is up for Vision Zero, we'll send a team of officers to do education. They'll go to certain precincts where analysis tell us that extra education enforcement needs to be deployed. They'll go there for 2 weeks prior and give out literature, maybe at supermarkets, at the busy hubs, in the residential areas also too. They'll do that for 2 weeks, and then we'll follow up with the enforcement part of it. So we have our traffic agents, which are the TED. They're the agents that come and enforce parking rules and regulations, double parked cars, illegally parked cars, even now with the citywide enforcement of paper plates. Now CTTF, which is directly under me, we're the police officers, the white shields in the vehicles who conduct moving violations, particularly hazardous summonses. So we'll be deployed inside the precinct. The precinct will certain zones, corridors, particularly in the 5-0. Well, we've been on the Broadway corridor. It's Broadway from West 225 Street to West 26th Street. It's a 2-mile stretch. So we've been there for 2 weeks, conducting enforcement and education in that area. We deployed officers there. I consider CTTF to be a community-based unit. And how I figured that out is we have a philosophy that when we go into a community, we want to help the community in regards to walking and driving safely. We want to educate drivers and pedestrians, and we also want to enforce the local rules and regulations. So just to give you a little preview of what the city is facing right now in regards to collisions, year to date, I'll just go with the year to date numbers. The year to date, the city is having a tough time with collisions, injury collisions, occupants and pedestrians. Year to date, the city's up across the board. The only thing that we're down in is bicycle injuries. Now, if you look a closer look at the borough itself, it's following the city trend. Collisions are down, but everything else is up. We have injuries, occupants, pedestrians, and motorized vehicles all up for the year to date. And now going in even a micro level, the 5-0 precinct is doing a little better than the city average. So collisions are down for the year to date, 148 versus 181. Injuries are down, 52 versus 67. Pedestrian injuries are down 33 versus 57. Motorcycles injuries are 0 versus 0, and the fatals 1 versus 1 for the year to date. So just to give you an example of our enforcement, our summonses, since we've been there February 21st, we end on March 2nd. So far, we issued 502 summonses. That's hazard B summonses. And we also issued 170 criminal court summonses. Now, the criminal court summonses is issued primary to trucks and overload vehicles and private sanitation. So within CTTF, we have a truck unit that mobilizes inside the Vision Zero zones, and they focus on vehicles over 10,000 pounds. These are the box trucks and other tractor trailers. And they also focus on private sanitation. And they'll make sure that they're following the city regulations and the federal regulations, make sure they're not overweight, make sure the tires and brakes are all properly working, and making sure the law is licensed. In regards to the B summonses, so just give you an example, for the 5-0 precinct, 50 were voting for speed, 51 for seatbelts, 72 for tinted windows, disobey sign was 164, improper turn was 45, failed to yield to pedestrian is 27, plate covers, we have 39. So total in the 5-0 since February 21st, we've written 672 summonses. Now, it's not just about the summonses. We have a philosophy that when we interact with a driver, we just don't want to inundate them with numerous amount of summonses. We want to focus on the most severe summons, issue that driver one summons, and warn and admonish on the other summonses. If his registration is expired, he's got the lights out, we want to warn and admonish him and tell the driver how to fix those and correct those type of infractions. But we are going to summons him on the moving violations. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what Vision Zero is and when did we deploy them.
I just have a quick question. After the March 2nd completion of the 5-0 precinct, what precinct will you be
March
moving on
6th.
to?
Mm-hmm.
Which one?
After this, we're going back to Brooklyn North and a part of Queens.
Okay.
we're leaving the Bronx and going back to Brooklyn.
Okay,
So far this year, Vision Zero, we've been deployed 3 times so far this year in the Bronx. So that's 6 weeks of total enforcement in the Bronx, particularly in the 5-0. We were there in January, and again, we're there right now.
okay,
And what I do is from my office, I'll reach out to community boards and I'll reach out to the local precincts and see if there's any grassroots locations, any particular locations that you know of that we could actually put a little more attention to.
right. Okay, yeah, because I actually saw a group on the Grand Concourse. I believe it's it's borderline between the 4-8 and the 4-6 precinct on the Grand Concourse that I've noticed they've been doing a bigger detail on the service road. I didn't know if that was you guys or not, but I guess not.
We are operating in a 4-6 on the Grand Concourse. Right now we're in a 4-6 and a 5-2 and a 5-0. So we're operating on the Grand Concourse, East Fordham Road, and Broadway.
Okay, so I just have a question. I know the numbers, you represented the numbers that you gave with the 600 tickets as being from the 5-0 precincts. Do you have any numbers for the 5-2?
Sure. So this is the 4-6 and 5-2 East West Fordham Road. So this, when I give you the numbers, it's gonna be the 4-6 and 5-2 also.
Okay,
So for the 4-6 and 5-2, we have 131 B summonses and 81 criminal court summonses.
okay, all right. Yeah, because basically Community Board 8, CB8 are the ones that are mostly that handle the Riverdale area. We kind of go from Bailey, which is right after Broadway, all the way up to Webster. That's our kind of segment. So
Okay.
we would be more in tune with the numbers for the 5-2, 4-8, 4-6 kind of mix.
But not the 5-0? I was under the impression that your community board covered mostly the 5-0. Is that wrong?
We're borderline the 5-0. We do overlap at a few blocks in towards the Riverdale area, but most of Riverdale is CBA.
Okay, so particularly in this 4-6, that's across Bronx Expressway to Fordham Road, we have 163 summonses written solely in the 4-6 and 36 summonses. And then Zone 2, which covers the 4-6 and the 5-2, again, I give the numbers 131 with 81 criminal court summonses.
Okay.
So total for the Bronx so far is 400 B summonses and 142 criminal court summonses. So the 4-6 again is the Grand Concourse from Cross Bronx Expressway to East Fordham Road, and then the 5-2 is Fordham Road to Exterior Street to Webster Avenue.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. All right. So we're going to be kind of sorry to see you guys go, because I know we have quite a few areas within the 5-2 precinct that aren't really getting the attention and is creating a lot of problems, such as street racing and stuff like that. So would you guys be, would we go to you guys for stuff like that?
You know, we always could help out. We always could do an operation, but it's the precinct who's really going to have to focus and stay on top of it. Okay. To stamp it out. You know, but we definitely can help out the precincts. That's what we do. We consider ourselves a support unit. Right. So maybe do you have my email?
I was supposed to get that stuff from Aisha earlier. I didn't get.
Okay, she'll give it to you. Send me the locations, and I'll reach out to the precinct CEO, and we could do some joint operations there. Okay.
I know they've had some in the past with as far as with Highway 1 and stuff like that because of the issues. So I'm sure they'll be interested in doing with you guys. I'd greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, we know what we like to overlay. So maybe 1 week we do a highway operation, 1 week I could do an operation, and then another week the precinct could do an operation. So you have consistency there.
Yep. Yeah, that's what we need to do. It's affecting a lot of people back in that area. All right. So thank you very much for your information.
When you reach out to me with the email, you know, if you give me the times and the days and the locations, it'd be best. You know, really narrow the times down. It'd be great.
Okay, definitely we'll do that. Does anyone have any questions for the deputy inspector? I see a phone number, 0929 with the hand raised.
Me.
Go ahead.
Oh, first, okay. Hi. I have a million questions, but I don't have time to ask a million questions. One is a comment. How would you, as a civilian, respond to a 5'2" police officer telling you that they flatly refuse to issue a car a summons, even though that vehicle is clearly parked less than 5 feet away from a hydrant? I distinctly remember sitting opposite an administrative law judge in parking violations court in the Bronx, being admonished by a judge how a car has to be 15 feet from the hydrant. So how would you feel, or how should a civilian respond to the officer who flatly refused to issue a summons to a vehicle that's clearly violating the law? What are we supposed to do about that? Thank you.
If you find yourself in that situation where you have a vehicle that's less than 15 feet from a hydrant, and you call 911 and you have a response from a patrol vehicle, and it's clearly less than 15 feet, and the officer you feel is not doing the proper enforcement, you should have him call a supervisor. If that officer should definitely call the supervisor if you request. If you always get back on 911 and ask for a patrol supervisor to respond to the location.
Thank you. And just a quick follow-up. So first, I haven't heard of zones. So what exactly is Zone 2? And can we find that on the internet, on a website somewhere that defines what Zone 2 is? I never heard of that.
Well, the zones are just how we categorize corridors. So you could call it corridors, you could call it zones. It just helps us with narrowing down the location where we're gonna send our education officers and our enforcement officers. So there could be 3 zones in a particular borough or 4 zones in a particular borough, depending on the analysis that we do. I send the community boards the packet. So if you get involved, touch with your community board, they'll have that zones prior to our arrival.
Thank you very much.
All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Andrew. Lowell Green. Lowell, I think you're muted.
Yeah.
There you go.
Fine. My comment is, within the last 6 months, maybe shorter, there's been a real influx of big semi trucks coming into, moving all the way down the Major Deacon and moving off the Major Deacon onto our side streets. And, they leave garbage. Prostitution sometimes increases. How do we address this? Because we are told, well, it's a non-commercial business area. But it really is a horrible sight. They leave the trucks there for weeks. They leave the cabs there for weeks. And the garbage collects.
Well, not to cut you off. We've addressed that in the 5-2. We've had that issue on Webster Avenue and also on Bailey Avenue. And we've had direct responses to both from the 5-2. If you have a specific area that has if there's a new place, just let us know and we can communicate with the 5-2, and the 5-2 for the most part has been pretty responsive with affecting
but this,
the trucks.
I'm approaching to him because he seems like he has power to cover what I call no man's land.
Well, that is exactly what the precinct should be doing. When I was in a 110, I had an area across the street from LaGuardia Airport, and all delivery cabs will come there, park. urinate, throw their food and lunch in the streets, similar to what you were having the issues. And the only way it was to solve it is to have the response order, the steady sectors, continuously police the area and move people along.
Okay, because this area is not really the 5-2, it's part of the 50th, it's part of the 4-7.
It does, you know,
We
whenever.
need somebody who has the power to go in and cover all the areas, not one particular precinct. Because it's all part of different precincts, but it's the same problem.
I understand it falls on the borders, but the precincts could give the prisons, the precincts, a police officer doesn't work for the 5-0 precinct, a police officer doesn't work for the 4-6. He's allowed to issue summonses anywhere in the city. So the borders shouldn't restrict a police officer from if he's going there and he sees a condition and he's aware of the condition, just because across the street is the 4-6 and not the 5-0, it's not going to stop that officer from issuing a summons. I hope it wouldn't. And that's something the commanding officer has to know.
Just so you understand what the issue with there is, Inspector of Entry, it's such as, like, if you go down to, let's say Webster and Jerome, one side of the street is a 4-8, one side of the street is the 5-2. As you continue up Webster, it gets worse because there's more precincts involved. The 5-0 is involved, the 4-7, and it's just the end of each precinct. So the normal sector car might not get to that one particular block every night. So I understand the problem that she has, but we can address that through the.
This is Jerome Avenue as well as Webster.
Right. Okay.
But this is something where the borough has to get involved then. The borough must get involved and oversee the deployment there.
Yeah, Lowell, we can take care of that in-house. That shouldn't be a problem. We'll definitely take a look at that. Chad Royer.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, hi. So my question, with regards to the Vision Zero unit, if I'm identifying it correctly, are you guys charged with enforcing the loud noises that vehicles are making, where the noise exceeds above 85 decibels, where you can actually use a sound meter and camera to try to catch the culprits? Is that something
that's something that, you know, I know when they're on a highway, I know highway's been putting initiatives together with that loud, that almost sounds like gunshots happening, the loud noise. But when we're in the Vision Zero zones, we're really looking for reckless drivers, cars that are going to potentially to hit a pedestrian. That's where we really focus on, dangerous driving.
Okay. Thank you.
I know, and it's something that the highway units have been going after, and I believe the precincts are going after. It's these high decibel, almost sounds like gunshots going off when these cars accelerate. So we're aware of it. There are officers interacting with these individuals.
And one other follow-up question: how can a civilian report when they hear the sound and they think they know what vehicle it is?
Well, it's either through 311 or 911. You know, it's hard if the car is moving, if it's traveling throughout the community, if somebody living on your block. If somebody's living on your block and they have this and it's a constant issue with you, it's definitely call 311. You want to record every incident so there's a paper trail, and it's something that you should be going to the NCO meetings and speaking to your NCO officers about, and let them know, because your NCO officer is your gateway to all the resources into the precinct. But you definitely have to call 311. You have to get it documented. So when the CEO or the XO, they go on the computer, they want to see, oh, look at this. There is a complaint here. There's numerous calls on it. We have to get involved in this. So I would suggest call 311 every time there's an incident and follow up your NCO meeting, because that NCO officer is a gateway to the precinct.
Got you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. And the last question is going to be for Mr. Garino.
Good evening, sir. I'm so glad that you have come to this committee. I have two questions. All right. I am not a board member, first of all. I am a senior citizen of the Bronx for 65 years. I love the idea of the Vision Zero. But my major problem is I am not afraid of being hit by a car. I am more afraid of being hit by a scooter or bicycle or an e-bike on the sidewalk. Constantly, people are riding the sidewalks of New York City. That is an illegal process. What do you plan on doing for that, for traffic? That is my first question.
Let me answer your first question. You're absolutely right. It's a major, major problem that's happening throughout the city. We have e-bikes that are and gas engine bikes that are illegal, that shouldn't even be on the road. And then for the legal ones, they're operating in the wrong areas. They definitely shouldn't be on the streets. Half of them shouldn't be on a bike path. Most of them belong in the street with the vehicles. So I agree with you there. So what are we doing in enforcement? We are enforcing these illegal scooters. We're doing a two-pronged approach. We're actually going to businesses and evaluating the business that do sell these illegal bikes that are basically ripping off their neighborhood and community members by selling them illegal bikes, and we're confiscating these illegal bikes. The second thing is that we're enforcing through education and through enforcement these individuals where they shouldn't be riding. So we're doing a two-pronged approach. We're doing the sales of it and also educating the people who are riding them. And frankly, the education part has to be done better. There's a lot of e-scooters, two-wheel scooters, stand-up scooters, and frankly, they themselves don't know where they're allowed to ride it and not to ride it.
Thank you for that. Now, my second problem, which is a major problem in the 52nd precinct, which I wish traffic would come in and take care of, because to alleviate the use of the precinct officers, is the constant violations of people parking at the hydrants and in crosswalks. Every morning when I'm out at 6 in the morning, I go down the block, the same 9 spots or more, because I'm only walking for 3 blocks. There's a constant cars at every hydrant and at every crosswalk where it's whited out. Not one ticket is sitting on those cars. I make complaints about them. I call them in constantly. I spend 15 minutes per car calling them in every single morning.
Not to interrupt, Mr. Guarino, just so you know, but after the discussion that we had on the Moshulu Parkway project, that's something that DOT is trying to address, because one of the biggest problems is the law, right? The way the law was changed and is no longer written properly. It impacts how summonses can be written for some of those. They've got to correct that in order to stop the cars from parking like that.
On the hydrants?
Hydrants and crosswalks. The bigger issue is the crosswalks, because that's what's stopping the people from being able to cross the streets. That's something that we are working on. And unfortunately, the Vision Zero project isn't really impacted for that, but DOT is working on that. Remember, that was brought up during that
Definitely.
right, which they're having on, I believe it's March 10th. March 10th is going to be the second part of that, just so you know. But DOT
just to add to that, so besides, just to add to it, with the Vision Zero enforcement, we do have the TED, the agents that do walk around and do enforcement at these areas. And again, you have to let the precinct know the condition is there. They have to know. Unfortunately, we're there for 2 weeks and then we move around. When I joined the unit, I had 380 police officers. I'm down to 67 police officers right now. They've been deployed throughout the city doing other aspects of crime fighting. But it's something that the precinct should be there looking at.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming.
Deputy Inspector Ventry, thank you very much for your presentation. We really appreciate all the information you're giving us. I know there was a lot of questions about the bikes and the scooters and all of that, and it's an evil that kind of changed, because at first they made all these bicycle lanes till they started using all these electric bikes for deliveries, and now it's created a whole unbelievable things with scooters, e-scooters, regular scooters, bikes, electronic bikes, and nobody knows who belongs where anymore. You know, and like you said,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right.
there's a big education piece that's missing, right? A bike lane's supposed to be for a bike lane, a regular bike. Once you add a motor to that bike, it's no longer accepted on that bike lane, you know, and people don't seem to
Well,
understand.
I think e-bikes, the stand-up scooters are allowed in the bike lanes.
It depends what
Believe
speed
it or
they
not.
go up the speed limit, doesn't it?
Exactly. I think under 20 miles per hour, they're allowed in the bike lane, which is
Right.
still a dangerous speed. Like I said, we did 2 operations, actually 4 row, 2 different businesses that are selling illegal bikes. So what happened? We have businesses selling illegal merchandise to residents, your neighbors, and then now these neighbors, residents are getting stopped by the police and getting summons for having an illegal bike. And their answer is, I was told these are legal. I was told this was legal. And it's unfortunate that the business is taking advantage of their own community.
All right. Thank you, Deputy Inspector Ventry. Our next follow-up item, since we're with the NYPD now, we're going to continue our little thing with the NYPD. We have the officer from TV 11. Is he still on?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was on mute.
That's okay.
How's everybody doing? I'm P.O. Benedict from Transit District 11. We are located on 161 on the Boy and David Yankee Stadium stations. So a little bit of information that I just want to update everyone. We are having a Community Safety and Mental Health Awareness Day, April 15, right here on East 161st and River Avenue, right upstairs on the street level. We are going to be giving out literature, how to stay safe, safe on the train and all that good stuff. We're going to have a bunch of several hospitals just to talk about mental health to the community too as well. Another thing that I would like to update everyone to as well, we have been reaching out to a lot of victims of crimes, victims that have been crimes of victims in the train station. We have been reaching out to them and giving them literature about safety and other services that they may actually need to as well. So in other words, it's like a follow-up that we do with them. As far as this on the train stations, we are giving literature to as well with the auxiliaries and explorers and the NCOs, trying to make sure that everybody's actually safe in the station. And we try to get everybody to try to register their cell phone if they have an Apple cell phone, because we also have a program here that we register their cell phone just in case it gets stolen and somebody try to sell it to us well. But as far as that, if anybody has any questions and concerns, I'm still going to be around.
Do you have any information or any numbers in reference to the situations at like Kingsbridge Road, Fordham Road, like along the D line and the 4 line? I know there was a lot of situations with the fare evasions, with the selling of the passes. I know they've increased the NYPD footprint on a lot of those train stations. How has that worked, or how has that affected it?
Honestly, I do not have the data with me, but as far as the 183rd and Kingsbridge, we do pay highly attention to it too as well. There's a lot of patrol be going out there, the NCOs too as well. Myself be going out there with the auxiliaries too. I was in, I think, Kingsbridge earlier too as well, just making sure that everything's running smooth. And I know sometimes the passengers has questions and concerns, especially during the early rush hour in the morning. So we are paying attention to that too as well. I know in the last meeting back in January, it was mentioned something about on 183rd, if I'm not mistaken, on the Boy and David, about somebody trying to sell swipes too as well. Once I did share that information, I did the next day for that whole week, honestly, I did went to try to follow up. Honestly, I did not see any activity, but again, I did provide my phone number just in case if anybody come across situations like that, we are able to at least try to pay attention to it, especially all the time.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all greatly appreciated. You know, like I said, I know the D line is a very busy line,
Yes.
all the way from 205th all the way down to 145th. There's a lot of situations and a lot of the platforms and on the trains itself. I'm just hoping that the additional assistance from the different precincts will help manage the problems that we've been having.
Yes. I believe hopefully it's going to get better as time goes on. But of course, it's like, we appreciate all the help that we could get, actually.
Mhm.
It's not only, the assistance from NYPD, but of course, the community too as well. Working together, we will make a difference.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for the officer?
I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chad, go ahead.
Yes. Good evening, officer. I have a question that I brought up before. My concern has to do with the panhandlers who get on the trains, and not only are they asking for money, but they're imposing their physical space onto others. I was actually told that I should call 311 to report the incident on the train. 311 doesn't accept the complaints. There's no code that they have when it deals with panhandling on the train. I would like to know what steps have been taken, to your knowledge, to strongly discourage, not only discourage the panhandling, but to even go as far as removing those individuals off the train when they're doing it.
Yes, as far as those, honestly, we have been issuing summonses or ejections, and sometimes it could lead to an arrest. The only situation, the only difference about it is that once we arrest them, they could actually come back out the same day, and they will go back to do the same steps all over again. As far as that, you are welcome to call 911. Have you tried, I'm sorry, before anything, have you tried calling 911?
I was not instructed to call 911. I was instructed to call 311.
311.
But the problem with that is that you're not always able to make the call on the ground
Correct.
if you're on a letter train or in Manhattan.
All right. So,
Yeah.
oh, have you seen the, I think there is like a help me, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure if that's the name of it, on the platform. Like you could actually report the incident to as well.
So that means I would have to get off the train in order to press the button, to look for the button, then press the button, and then report it.
Yes. Is it actually here in the Bronx?
It happens a lot in the Bronx,
Okay.
although I've seen it in Manhattan.
I could definitely get back to you in reference to that one, but if it's in the Bronx, this is what you could do for me. If anything, if it's not an issue, I will put down my phone number. And if you notice that there's a specific time frame, like for example, if it happened at 8 a.m. in the morning, like a Monday or a Tuesday, on 183rd, for example, you could actually share that information with me. I will share it with with the CEO and the NCOs too as well, and the crime prevention officers.
Well, thank you for that. The best that I could do is call it wherever it happens. It could be literally on any station.
Yeah.
I mean, on any train car between any station.
Just as a heads up, I know they've been improving that the transit communication. When you're at any specific station, when you're at the station, you should have cell service and message service. As you start traveling down the trains, you lose the phone call ability, but the messaging, I believe, still stays on.
Wi-Fi.
The other thing you need to try, I had mentioned this before, 511, right? 511 is supposed to cover the transit with the trains. It covers once you get on the steps of a train station, whether it's down or up, the 511 covers that, not 311. That might be the reason why they're not able to find a code for the panhandling, because 511 is supposed to be directly related for transportation, so you can direct 311 type complaints on the transit system, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you're right.
Yes.
I was told by an MTA person to call 311.
It's supposed to be 511.
Yeah.
Yes, let me just to add to that too as well. Yes, correct. It is 511. So what does 511 does actually, they would send that complaint to the NYPD precinct that is responsible for those stations too as well. Because I know the NCOs also, they do get those complaints. Like if it happened on one of our stations, they will send it to the precinct that is actually responsible for the stations. And it's good to as well, because you can even keep a record.
That would be good to put on paper, on paperwork when you're giving to the community so that they know how to access it.
Yeah, there has to be a bigger education on that.
Yeah.
All right, Chad, thank you very much. Daisy, you have a question?
Hi, yes. So I'm at the Bedford Park train station on the D line. So I take the train every day, Monday through Friday. So this morning, I go down, get on the train, and there's like people laying across the seats, so you can't really like sit down. So I don't know if they get on at 2:05 or if they're on and just go around in a loop. So I don't know. To like what Chad was saying. So when I'm riding the train, there's always like something happening in the train car, and I'm heading to work. So this is like 8:16, 8:20, 8:30. And a few days ago, there was another guy with a stun gun, and he kept like, I don't know what it's called, but he kept like activating the stun gun to make it like make the sound. And he was like making comments or statements towards people that were like aggressive. And I looked on every station that the train would stop. I looked to see if I saw an officer, and I didn't see anyone to like alert them. So we just kind of like sat there watching him flick the stun gun and just hope he doesn't touch us. So I don't know like what could be done with that.
Hey, Daisy, how you doing? As far as that, you are also welcome to call 911. When you call 911, there's a train car number. I'm not sure on the top of every train car or in the inside too as well. For example, there will be a car number, right? So if you call 911, immediately you let them know what's going on, and trust me, we will respond to it, and you can always give them that car number. So when the train is approaching probably the next station, which there will be probably officers, they already know where directly to go to which car number. But you are welcome to call 911 because it's something that is happening at that time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Daisy. All right, Mr. Guarino, we're gonna let you get lucky twice in one night. A short question, I hope. Unmute yourself, please.
Let me tell you something. I just have a comment. If I was on that train and that dude was on that train, when it pulled into the station, I would have pulled the emergency cord and have the NYPD come to me. That's what I would have done. I wouldn't have just rolled down to work with that knucklehead on the train. And that's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Guarino. And then Officer Berdiff would have been called, and he would have had to report to the station, and it would have been a really big mess.
Yes,
it takes a while before they can restart that train.
Yes, correct. It will delay services, honestly.
But he probably wouldn't have gotten away. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Officer. Meredith, we appreciate all the information you bring to us. Like I said, I know with all the changes they've made, the adding of officers, which is probably why the previous deputy was talking about losing a lot of members of his unit, probably because they got them on train stations. Because there's a lot of problems in a lot of places, and they're trying to address all of them. So thank you very much for your information. As always, very much appreciated.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me.
All right. Also, I'm gonna try to work on trying to get some information about the 511 because it's not publicized as much as it should be, I guess. You know, I know that because of other reasons, but you know, people need to understand once you step on one of those steps, whether it's up the stairs or down the stairs, once you get on transit property, 511 is your number. 511 will be the one to get your help. I think they've also gotten it where you don't have to call them, right? Because you know, like the situation Daisy was saying, where you're in an unsafe situation, you all out, Hello, 911. This is so and so. Person's gonna hear you, and they're gonna change their attack to you. There's, I believe, a way to do it through messaging. I don't know if it's where you can message 911 to give them the information, so you don't expose yourself as the person calling the calling to have that assistance. All right. So to continue on with our agenda, we're gonna go to the MTA updates. Once again, there's still, I don't know if I reported to you guys. I know I did it to the community board. I don't think I reported it to you guys that the changes that were on the proposed bus plan is supposed to be taking place in June, and the express bus changes are not taking effect in June. Those still have to be discussed and still have to be addressed. So those shouldn't be creating that problem. Continuing with the MTA update, we just continuing with the track maintenance through February and most of March, from Tuesday to Friday, from 10:45 Tuesday to 3 p.m. Fridays during all the weeks, and that's on that on the 4 train line. The service change is expected to recur through April for service to the Woodlawn station. I'm sorry, to the Mashulu station. Then they expect you to transfer up to Woodlawn and then change to the downtown train to then be able to get off at those stops. DOT was supposed to get to us today with a presentation. Unfortunately, they weren't prepared to present. So they're saying that for next month, they should have something for us. Just a heads up. The Moshulu Parkway group, they got together last month, which had a lot of information. They were supposed to compile that information also. They still haven't presented it. However, I believe March 10th. I want to just confirm the date. Hold on a second. Yeah, March 10th, the Gun Hill, Gun Hill Road meeting will be taking place. Hopefully they'll give us more information in reference to what they're doing there. So I think that basically covers our agenda. I'm sorry, the last item, I don't know if everyone was able to get the emails in referencing the TLC project, the proposed rate change. Did everyone get to see that email? All right. Well, the community board sent out email earlier, I believe 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago. This is in reference to a proposed rate change for taxi medallion owners. I was hoping I was gonna have someone from the office continue on the call with us so they could share the screen. But it's basically for taxi cabs with the medallions that go from Manhattan, I believe it's 14th Street, that go to the various airports. They're looking to change the fees that they charge in order to properly compensate the drivers and picking up for the time that they spend waiting for rides, waiting for pickups, and they go onto the line and come back. like I said, they were sent out. Did anyone on the, in the committee get that email besides me? Lola, let's see your hand up. And, all right, so, hold on 1 second. Let me just see if I can pop up the email real quick.
AJ just posted it on the chat.
What was it?
It's posted on the chat.
Is that from the email we got?
Yes.
That's the numbers on the email we have, right?
Uh-huh.
Eric?
Yes.
All right.
And that there will be a hearing on April 5th about it.
Yeah, so anyone interested in having their voice heard on that, you know, can go to the open house they're gonna have, the town hall, so that they get proper representation from people that use that service. It doesn't, I guess it really doesn't affect us, right? Because I think we're at like a $75 fee going from the Bronx to most of the airports with most of the cabs, unless you do some of the other services where you can reserve your trip. And all right, so
Edgar,
yes, hello.
to my knowledge, there is not a standard fee from our neighborhood to LaGuardia.
When you do a cab-based call, 9 times out of 10 they tell you $75.
Right, but if you're coming from the airport and you want to say our address, you don't get a set fee. It's a
Right.
meter rate.
Right.
And it's interesting, if you read the document, they want to propose a flat rate for a couple locations.
Mhm.
But if you look at it, it's a flat rate plus any bridges you go over. So I think it needs to be better clarified in bolder print what a flat rate is for certain locations and what else is additionally covered. And it should be in bold print.
Yeah, because what happens is when the taxis pick you up, if you're going anything outside of a certain part of Manhattan is considered, they start going to zones. So then you got different zones, whether it's Bronx, Westchester, and then they charge accordingly.
And if you go over any toll bridges, you're
Right.
responsible for the toll.
Right.
And it doesn't say that. It's down there as an asterisk.
Right.
It doesn't say that up close in bold print.
Yeah, and the problem with that is when you try to charge the ride, they want the bridge part of it. They want that in cash, and that creates quite a bit of problems for the drivers and for the passengers. All right, so as it was posted, they're gonna have the opportunity at the town hall to address any concerns that people have with that. Any other questions people have can always be routed to the Taxi and Limousine Commission. They have a very vast help desk, and all these types of concerns can be brought up prior to that meeting. Because you might not be available to go to the meeting, but you can at least have your voice heard by contacting TLC prior to the meeting. All right. So our next meeting date is going to be April 7th. Do we have any suggested topics for the April meeting?
I have a suggestion.
Mhm.
you were gonna get 511, but also, 311 also. But I think we need a presentation on when you call these, special city numbers, what information are they going to require? So when we make the phone call, we know what information to provide them instead of saying,
And
Oh, you need
unfortunately,
this
we lost our 311 worker, right? They would have been able to give us that information right off the bat, right? All right,
And-
I'll reach out. I'll reach out to 311 and 511 and find out if they have anyone available to do that type of presentation. Hopefully
Thank you.
We can hopefully we can try to get it done for the next month's meeting. I'll try to address that. Hopefully with the city and hopefully they'll give us a proper idea of what we can do. All right. Thank you, Lowell. Anyone else have any suggestions for April?
I think Andrew and Chad have questions, Edgar.
Andrew? I'm sorry. Kind of doing monitoring and checking. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Andrew. Andrew, go ahead. Do you have your hand raised?
Once again, I forgot to lower my hand. Apologies.
All right. Thank you. Chad, do you have a suggestion?
If it could, I actually had want to raise the issue that I spoke to you earlier, but
Right.
I'll wait till everyone goes and go last.
No other hand is up right now.
Okay.
You're the only one with the hand up.
Okay, so I'll make this simple. Right now I'm putting on my PS 86 Parent Association president hat on. So several parents mentioned to me that there is a safety concern crossing Kingsbridge Road and Grand Avenue,
right,
because of the lack of directional signage. There's no traffic light, there's no crossing guard, there's no crosswalk. So they brought this up with no direction on how to get it looked at or resolved. Now, you did mention briefly that a petition would probably be the first way to start.
Right.
Prior to going to a petition, we would need to know what language would need to be used. I just wanted to put it for the record that this is a concern that we would like to get some guidance on how we can put some kind of a safety measure to make that area safer to cross, especially because PS 86 is a block away from that intersection and lots of parents and children cross back and forth. I wish I could share an image, but I have a Mac that I'm not able to share with because the picture comes blank.
Right. All right. Part of the problem. Here's the situation with that. Right. By making it a case study, right? We can't tell DOT for them to investigate putting a light there. We would tell them to investigate the intersection, and they would then see what would be the best, what would best serve that intersection, be it a stop sign, be it more clarified signs, be it a red light, be it whatever they through the rules and regulations of what DOT has as a legal intersection, how they could service it. That's what the study would start. The reason why I asked for the sheet for the petition is that lets DOT know that, look, it's not one or two parents, it's not just one person that lives on that block that's having a problem. It's a lot of parents. That's why I asked for the petition so we could present that to DOT that way. And one morning out there with the parents, should be able to get to 50 to 75 signatures with no problem. or at the next PA, Parents Association meeting, put a piece of paper around and have everyone sign. And that'll let DOT understand that, you know, that it's a concern that we need to look at, or they need to look at and put a study on. That was the only reason why I asked for the petition first.
So here's what we could do. My PA meeting is going to be on the 15th.
Right.
So that gives us some time. Who would you suggest I address the petition to? Would it be the DOT or multiple agencies in this case?
The petition itself would go to DOT, right?
Okay.
Then when I do my letter of support would go to DOT, would go to Board of Ed, would go to NYPD, would go to all the agencies that would be directly related to that situation.
How many signatures would you need as a minimum? A round figure number.
I'm thinking 75. Lowell, is there a set number for signatures? I remember hearing 100. I remember hearing 50.
The more you get, the better.
Right.
And if it's a parent who has 2 kids at school, make a note somewhere that it's on behalf of a parent with 2 or 3 kids at school. And also include all the elected officials within a 5-block area. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of parents may not live in, Congressman X district, but they're in Y. So you include any politician that's within a 5 to 10 block area, which feeds kids into that school. Because you never know who's got the connections and who's going to cause further action to take place.
Right. Thank you, Lo. I remember because you were the chair of traffic and transportation prior to me, so I know you have vast knowledge in this topic.
Years ago, DOT had a Safe Way to School program. It probably doesn't exist, but you might look through the internet and see if there are any. I'll look through my papers and see if there's anything that I have about that, and I'll forward it to you, Chad.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, because that Safe Streets project that they keep pushing at us from DOT, that would be something that this would fall under also, because the Safe Streets all has to do with all the routes that directly affect the schools, which is why they were supposed to change the sidewalk at University Avenue, at Sedgwick Avenue, a few other places to have so it's a better, safer walk to the schools. And they all got pushed back, and hopefully that'll get taken care of soon.
What cross street is that again?
Grand Avenue in Kingsbridge.
It's right before Aqueduct Avenue West.
Right. Okay. All right, Chad. Thank you for your information. I'm gonna direct that to the chair also. And like I said, once we get a couple of signatures, we can push DOT to take care of what they've got to take care of.
We may be able
like
to
I said,
get that
we
before
can't.
the meeting.
Unfortunately, we can't say put a red light, put a crosswalk, put anything. We've got to say we need you to study the intersection and see what they can come up with, and hopefully it's something safe for the students and for the people crossing. All right, Chad.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I have a Poi Stewart. I had a Poi Stewart. She just disappeared off the screen. Oh, there you are.
She's on mute.
No, you were like next on the screen, and then all of a sudden you disappeared. All right,
No,
go
I
ahead.
did not, no, I did not disappear. I just couldn't unmute myself.
Mhm.
Yes, Edgar, maybe the next meeting, I would like you to bring it up to the CO attentions or to the NCO attention or to the community affair attentions regards to the paper plates. You know, people around here that who park, who pay property taxes.
Mhm.
I don't think so. They should deserve. I don't think so. They deserve for people that who have paper plates that park on the streets. People who pay property taxes, they should deserve a spot to park on the street.
Right.
So I think the spring is coming up. I believe so in a couple weeks later. So please just bring it up next week to their attention. So the 5-2 and the 4-6 and the
Okay.
4-4. Yeah. Because there's a lot of those, not even that, not about paper plates. It's about no plates and no registration.
Right.
That's the worst.
No, I understand. I have that problem on block. All of a sudden, you got these cars that they park at the hydrant every night, and every 2 days they change the plate on the car. So if they get a ticket, they don't get towed because by the time the ticket gets where they would tow the car, person changed the plate. So that's very creates a problem.
Edgar, one thing when I start calling the NCO at 5-2,
Hmm.
what they told me that they don't have any parking spot or the parking lot. Once they're told they don't have any space to park in their lot. So therefore they don't even bother.
Right. That's a true statement. There's been a big issue with that, right? Because they wanna go out and confiscate all these motorcycles. They did that on a weekend, and literally the precinct was packed. The back of the precinct, there's stables. That was all full of motorcycles. The whole walkway full of motorcycles. Everything was full of motorcycles and mopeds, and nobody would come pick them up.
Edgar, I also want to bring it out to you that there is one space, a parking lot that when you go, if you take I don't know what is the name of the precinct that next to Deacon.
The 4-8.
I don't think so.
4-8 is right below. That's when you get off at if you're on the Cross Bronx, when you get off.
No, not Cross Bronx.
Okay.
Deacon.
Oh, the Deacon. Oh, you're talking about the task force. BX.
Yeah, the task force.
Right.
When you go
By Ogden, by 174th.
Right. If you look across the task force precinct, there is one empty lot. It's belonging to them.
Mhm.
Those parking space, it's a lot for them. If they tow the car and park there, that would be perfect. You need to bring them to that attention too, the NCO and the CO attention. They
Yep.
know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
I don't know what is the name of the street in the back.
Exterior. Part of it is exterior.
Is that Asterio? The one that they open up the ramp to get
Right.
on
When you
the
go to the
Deacon?
bridge, when you come over the bridge from where the precinct is, when you go
Right.
over the bridge over there. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. There is one gate that once you open that gate, that's belonging to the task force parking lot.
Right.
Those lot, it's a huge lot that
Mhm.
next to the I believe it's next to the train station, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And
They
that
can
also feeds back to Parks Department, because Parks
Yeah.
Department, when they got the tennis court, they have parking lots there also. All
they
right.
can park the car over there, but I
Yeah.
don't know why they don't take the advantage of that.
Yeah.
Bring that to their attention.
Okay. All right. I'll do that.
Mm.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Appreciate your
Welcome.
information. We had someone else with their hand up.
Jake
Cynthia,
Wilson.
Cynthia Tui?
Jake, okay.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I have a comment question
Mhm.
regarding from Gun Hill Municipal Parking.
Yep.
This past Tuesday was the payment date for the quarter.
Right.
And at the post office that opens at 8 o'clock, the line started at around 6:45 a.m.
Right.
And there were quite a few people on the line who were very clearly disabled. And it was very distressing for them to be standing on the line that long. And I said, why do you even have to, when it says right on the permit that priority is given to the disabled. And what they explained to me is that that means that there are the 7 disabled parking spots. Once 7 disabled people renew, any other disabled people do not get any type of priority. And yeah, I was wondering if you might be able to reach out to your contacts at the DOT and see if there's something that could be done to be a little bit more accommodating.
Yeah, 'cause I know there, and also that happens at the 190. There's a similar parking location on 190th Street by on Jerome, right
Yeah.
before Fordham. And the same thing. That line starts at the parking, goes down the block to Fordham, and all the way around, almost wraps around the whole block again.
Yeah.
When they do those.
It's just very sad to see
Yes.
these people who are clearly suffering standing in the line that long. You know, and you would just think that the Department of Transportation would be a little bit more accommodating of disabled.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you for that information, Cynthia. I'll definitely forward that to DOT.
Great. Thanks.
And was that it? Was that it?
That was it.
Okay. Thank you, Cynthia. There was another person that had their hand up. I'm gonna get to you in a second, Chad.
He left.
I had one other name that was
He
had
left.
their hand up and they disappeared.
It was Jake.
Right, Jake.
He left.
Okay. All right, Chad, you had something?
No, I just put the pictures of the intersection
Okay.
I was referencing.
You
I was
put that on the
following
chat?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you could read it, if you could look at it.
All right.
In the chat, Edgar, Jahira had a suggestion that maybe we should have a joint meeting with quality of life, because a lot of the issues that were brought up by Poi have kind of match up with some of their issues.
Yeah.
And also on the chat, there was comments about the new programs from the MTA, that Metro North is now $5 within the city for an off-peak train anywhere in the Bronx to Grand Central.
All right.
So you just have to buy a city ticket and you'll be able to take advantage of that.
Okay.
And also on the Omni, as you know, starting this week, after you pay 12 times with the same device or card.
Is it after 12 or is it after the 13th? I know
After 12.
I don't know if it starts on the 13th charge
It starts
or
on the
after
13th.
the 13th charge.
It starts on the 13th. So
On the
after
13th
12,
charge? Okay.
yes, after the 12th charge, all your rides after that from Monday to Sunday are free.
All right. Yeah, I know they're kind of pushing Omni now on TV more, and they're trying to get people to start converting over to get those Omni cards if they don't have a credit card or whatever, so they can prepay. I think they were having issues with some of the vending machines and places where they aren't accepted or where they're not letting them put the machines. So those people that are trying to get those Omni passes are going to start having problems trying to get them when they convert over.
Yeah, supposedly they're selling the Omni card at Grand Central shop, at the shop.
Yep. All right. Okay. Being we don't have any other issues brought forth. Guess we can try to adjourn the meeting.
I second that.
Okay. All those with the adjournment say yes. Anyone opposed? Okay, being that no one, hold on a second. Andrew Leosa, we have a hand up. Did you forget to put it down again? All right, thank you, Andrew. All right, being we're all okay with the adjournment, we'll be adjourning the meeting. All right, everyone have a good evening. Everyone be safe, and we'll see everyone at the next meeting. All right,
Good night. Good night.
have a good night.
Good night.